Black smoke rose from the new Oceana water world before an explosion ripped through the structure, destroying its water slides. Workers evacuated and firefighters launched a rescue mission for survivors. Amid the chaos stands one question: how could a brand new water park explode? What follows is one of Sweden's most infamous construction disasters. Workers arrived at the Oceana Water World site early on a freezing Monday morning. The project, an expansion of Gothenburg's Liseberg amusement park, aimed to make the park a year-round attraction. Oceana, set to be one of Europe's largest water parks, was nearing its April 2024 opening date. However, a key deadline for the Rattler slide was missed the day before the incident. The Rattler slide, featuring external tunnels, required diversion pipes for water flow. Plumbers refused to install a missing component, so Whitewater, the slide's manufacturer, stepped in. A separate company provided welding equipment, but Whitewater staff lacked the expertise and awareness of the fire hazard. Compounding the danger, Oceana lacked a working fire alarm system. The site's temporary alarms were dismantled a week earlier and replaced with the permanent system for the park's opening, but it was being tested that morning and wasn't fully operational. So when the parts arrived and Whitewater staff began installing the pipes, no one realized the entire site was at risk. Inspectors at the pool hall noticed a burning rubber smell, but continued their checks. Shortly after, during manual fire alarm tests, workers dismissed the smell. Despite the odor, nothing seems out of place. Fitters working beneath the Rattler then heard a strange rushing sound, initially mistaken for water. Smoke soon billowed from the Rattler and staff began evacuating. Site manager Patrick Gilholm was alerted. He was inspecting the 5th floor of the tower, but the call disconnected. The smoke, captured on surveillance, was followed approximately 2 minutes later by a fire erupting from the Rattler, above the welding area the workers had been working on. Upper floor fire sensors detected the flames, but the system was in test mode and did not trigger an alarm. Thick black clouds engulfed the pool hall, prompting workers to call emergency services. Fire trucks arrived 7 minutes later, by which time the fire had spread through the Rattler's tunnels and a massive smoke column rose over the site. A worker reported that Patrick was missing and that he hasn't been seen by anyone else on the site. Firefighters attempted to control the blaze while a rescue team, guided by construction workers, ascended the stairwell to find a route to the tower. The stairwell was initially smoke-free, and they were optimistic about finding the missing manager. But on the 3rd floor, they encountered thick black smoke. The construction workers retreated, and firefighters, facing dangerous conditions and limited search options, were also forced to evacuate. Outside, fire crews battled the escalating fire, which had consumed most of the side tunnels, becoming an unstoppable inferno. A site engineer suggested using the park's pumps to flush water through the slides. Fire crews agreed and switched on the system, but this had little effect. The rescue team struggled to find a route to continue their search for Patrick. Then, the top of the tower exploded, triggering smaller blasts throughout the burning slides. Steel beams and shards of glass were hurled into surrounding areas, and the water park's walls were blown out. Emergency services withdrew from the unstable structure, fearing its collapse. The explosion intensified the inferno, spreading flames through the slide tunnels, and smoke thickened above the tower. A $120 million site transformed into a burning wreckage within 15 minutes. The fire threatened nearby buildings, including offices, preschools, and residential areas, with burning plastic spreading toxic fumes. Fire crews focused on containing the blaze and resuming the search for Patrick where safe, while also preparing for potential evacuations. About half an hour after the explosion, the fire in the pool hall was extinguished, but most of the site remained ablaze. The smoke was visible for miles, and a growing wind spread the fumes. Emergency services gathered building design information and took precautions, such as removing potential explosives and protecting a nearby chemical store. They also prepared to sever connections between buildings to prevent the fire from reaching the Oceana Hotel. The flames were contained to the main building, and by mid-afternoon, responders accessed the tower's first 2 floors. They resumed the search for Patrick, but the fire still raged and several sections of the structure were at risk of collapse. Rescuers used drones to search inaccessible areas, while firefighters continued to battle the flames. After several hours, Patrick remained missing. At 7 p.m., police notified his relatives and announced that a man was missing following the explosion, acknowledging the inability to search large parts of the building due to the fire and collapse risk. Approximately an hour later, the search was scaled back. and firefighters continued to extinguish the blaze through the night. The following morning, the fire continued to burn. Patrick was still missing, and much of the structure was too dangerous to enter. Though the fire no longer threatened neighboring buildings and the toxic fumes had stopped spreading, the site remained highly dangerous. Over the next 4 days, the fire service slowly extinguished the remaining hotspots. Parts of the building continued to collapse, and a crane truck was used to remove unstable debris. When responders finally accessed the tower and pool hall remains, they found Patrick's body lying lifeless at midday on the 5th floor. The search for other potential victims continued until the evening, and the rescue operation concluded at 7 p.m. Oceana, intended to mark further success for Liseberg and Gothenburg, instead left the city questioning how everything went so wrong so quickly. Once the site was safe, investigators from the Swedish Accident Investigation Authority determined that the fire originated in the water tower area, but the source was mostly incinerated. They scrutinized the piping installation by Whitewater staff, noting that a large, externally welded pipe coincided with the initial smoke sighting. Authorities found the PE plastic pipes were joined using electrofusion, a process requiring specialized welders due to PE's flammability. Improper insertion exposes heated wires, causing overheating and ignition. Investigators suspected faulty welding. Tests on similar pipes showed that large gaps caused smoldering and fires within 18 minutes, initially invisible. Whitewater technicians confirmed that joining the pipe took 17 minutes, allowing 13 minutes of smoldering before the smell was detected in the pool hall at 9:30 a.m., mirroring test results. Investigators concluded that pipe gaps were 2 to 4 times the limit. Despite available training, nobody on site was qualified for electrofusion welding. Liseberg, NCC, and Whitewater failed to conduct thorough risk assessments. Oceana lacked fire alarms for a week during Whitewater's piping installation. The lack of training caused the Rattler's pipes to ignite, with hot air acting like a chimney. Flames spread rapidly to the flammable fiberglass slides, and the park was quickly engulfed. The Swedish Accident Investigation Authority recommended improved safety management by Liseberg, NCC, and Whitewater, emphasizing proactive risk prevention. Fire experts believe unburnt gases ignited at the tower's top. Oceana was completely destroyed. Legal proceedings are ongoing. Rebuilding is scheduled for completion in 2026. Patrick Gilholm was the only fatality in the disaster. He was the closest to the fire inside the building, succumbing to carbon monoxide poisoning. 16 others were treated for smoke inhalation. If you found this video interesting, please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.